It's your Wednesday night conversation. It's more than just the gossip, it's the issues that matter most to you. A closer look at current events, just the tip, special guests, and more. Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe, Arizona's longest-running drag live stream. Hosted by Felicia Fefe Minor and Freddy Prinze Charming. Streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Promotional consideration for Let's Have a Fefe provided by Wigs of a Kind, The Burly Barber, Bone and Basil, as well as our patrons at Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Let's Have a Fefe to become a Fefe patron. Virtual tips accepted at paypal.me/Let's Have a Fefe. Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe Season 10. We are on episode 9, if you can believe that shit. It is the day before St. Patrick's Day, so I figured why the hell not. I will give you a little bit of the leprechaun realness. As I mentioned, it is literally the only time I've ever done a leprechaun look, but it's fine. It's fine. As you can see, Felicia is not with us yet. She will be. She had to work a little bit late. But this is why I learned how to work the thingy so that I can go ahead and get this show started on the off chance if she has to work late one night. So we got this. This is your Wednesday night conversation. Welcome to Let's Have a Fefe. I am not Felicia Minor, but I am still for 23 more days your Mr. US of A MI Classic. Wow. 2019, 2020, 2021. Ad infinitum just keeps going and going and going. We would like to thank our 18 patrons on Patreon: Allison, Brandon, Cassandra, Drake Jensen, Casey Starr, Carrie and Corey, Kim, Joan, Joanne, Kim, Joan, too many names, Jody, Leanne, Nicole, Patricia Mason, Sassy, Shannon, Shelly, and Sky. And of course, a special thanks to our friends and supporters, Patricia Mason, Sky, and Drake Jensen, for taking a deeper plunge. We like going deep. Special thanks, of course, to Joan of Babish Jewelry and Wood Arts. If you're not following her, you need to go follow her because she keeps coming up with the most amazing things. And the stuff that she keeps posting, it's ridiculous. I don't know where she finds this stuff, but it's absolutely stunning. So make sure that you are following her. And of course, special thanks to Guido Martin and of course, Jeremy Bright of Ripple Phoenix. And if you want to, you can donate to us so that, we can, eat or something, buy snacks. Snacks are good at paypal.me/Let's Have a Fefe. And if you don't get enough texts, if you need some more attention, if you need, all of that fun stuff, you can text LHAF to 602-730-7379. I am not sure what you will get sent. I actually tried to do that, and I think Felicia just ignored me because I don't get anything. So, could be anything. Could be anything. Could be nudes. Could be show information. Could be anything. No idea, because she ignored me, but that's fine. Oh, I also missed, if you would like to become a patron on Patreon, you can do that by going to patreon.com/Let's Have a Fefe. You'll get to hear about what guests we have coming up. You'll hear that first. We always post, if we do a photo shoot, behind the scenes photos there first. The occasional video and things, makeup stuff. To be fair, I haven't done a lot of stuff on there recently. My brain has been in about 16 million different directions, but we're going to be better at that, I promise. Life is, one of those things that oh my goodness. So I guess I will talk about my weekend. So my weekend was busy. It was busy. I'm not even sure why it was busy, but it was. Friday, I know my partner and I we went to IKEA because, as I mentioned, the last couple weeks, my closet broke last month uh when I came back from the Three Fates show. So it's been a disaster because my all of my clothes have literally just been on the floor because there's nowhere to put them. Um, so we've been and we haven't had time to really do anything about it. So on Friday, we decided to go to IKEA and buy some fucking wardrobe so we can finally get that shit taken care of. Um, we, um, Saturday, of course, we left all of that in there. Saturday, we went to Costco, and so my partner drives a Highlander, right? It's a big. Where did we eat on Friday? Where did we had yummy food? Where did we eat? I don't even remember. Oh Christ. But Saturday we went to Costco, and uh we anytime we go to Costco, like we can't just go in for something that's not heavy. So every time we go in, it's always all the heavy shit. So by the time we loaded up the car, this Highlander was like a damn lowrider. Like the thing just went and what do you mean IKEA was Thursday? I thought IKEA was Friday. Oh Lord. See, this is why yeah. Eh, okay, IKEA was Thursday, my bad. IKEA was Thursday. We had oh, that's right. And then on Friday we did the Collins for happy hour. They have a great happy hour and the best tres leches cake ever. And then Costco after that because we are hardcore adulting, so we do happy hour and then Costco. And then drove home in a lowrider, basically Highlander, because there was so much heavy shit in the back. It was kind of nuts. Saturday, what do we do on Saturday? What happened on? Oh, rehearsal. I had rehearsal for my step down Saturday morning, and during that time, my partner was supposed to start getting the wardrobe situated because she was like, "Oh, I'll just do that while you're rehearsing," because the rehearsal was going to be a couple hours. So we're gonna do that, and then I got done with rehearsal, and she managed to hang 4 pictures and some hooks on the wall. But it's fine. It's fine. Totally fine. But on Sunday, she did bust her ass and not just get the wardrobes put together, but basically put both of the wardrobes together, rearrange the bedroom because the wardrobes have to go in it was complicated. So they had to rearrange all the things. I love you. So by the time I got back on Sunday night, everything was fantastic, and I was so like it was impressive, thoroughly impressive. And on Sunday, I was at the Pride pageant for I think ever. My alarm went off. My phone decided that it wanted to go ahead and go with daylight savings, which I don't fucking understand at all. It just randomly was like, hey, let's go ahead and we're going to set you ahead an hour. So instead of, oh, hey, Felicia. So instead of
Hi.
waking up at 8, which is when my alarm was supposed to go off, my alarm went off at 7. So I got
Oh,
up,
wow.
I'm running around, took the dogs out, and I went outside. And when it's early, it still has that like kind of lavender kind of coloring in the sky. Like it's daylight, but it's not late enough yet. And and I'm looking around, I'm like, why does it seem really early? So I walk back in and I glance at the stove, and the stove says it's 7:15. I'm like, wait, what? Did the electricity go off for an hour? That's what I was thinking. Like I was like, electricity must have gone off for an hour. It's behind an hour. And I asked Alexa, I was like, Alexa, what time is it? And Alexa says, it is 7:15. And I said, well, fuck. So I was up way too early on Sunday. And then I was at Tempe Center for the Arts for the Pride pageant from 10 a.m. until it was almost 10 p.m. It was a long day. I was officially dressing one contestant and was helping a couple others. I was like, I was following everybody around with scissors and lint rollers and snipping things and putting in cufflinks and all that fun stuff that I do because that's what I do. Also, just as an aside, pretty sure that I'm still the only former Mister that has not been asked to judge, but that's fine. Whatever.
You hold no grudges and not bitter at all.
I'm just saying,
That's
it's
what I heard.
Whatever. It is what it is. It's all right. We all know how that works, but it's fine. So, since you just got on, how was your weekend, Felicia?
Terrible. Just kidding. So Saturday got nails done. And we went to Uptown Jungle. It's like a trampoline place. Yes, you are winning. You are winning and adulting for the anniversary. Yes.
Oh yes, that was our anniversary weekend, which it's
Oops.
anniversaries during COVID. You know what? It's pretty good. We managed to survive a pandemic and a whole slew of other shit. So I think we're doing pretty good.
Well, doing better than most, I say. But just I had a little bit of a weekend, so that's all for me. Got nails done. That was a highlight. Performed at
Your nails
Magic.
remind me of strawberry lemonade.
Oh, I keep collecting names. I've heard Mike and Ike, Laffy Taffy, Margarita. But I think the official name of these is Sweet and Sour. But
I get that. Okay.
Yeah, which led somebody to call them Sour Patch Kids. So come with the names of the nails. I think this is like the brightest color combination that I've done in a while.
Yeah, yours are like you're like you do sometimes like colors and stuff, but they're not usually like
as
almost
bright.
Neon. Like they're like you
it
do
is neon.
Like, they're fun.
Yes.
Oh no, you know what they remind me of?
What?
The rhubarb custard hard candies that you find in the UK. They're like rhubarb on one side and then like yellow custard flavor on the other, and that's what they look like. They're like rhubarb custard.
Have we tasted these before?
Yes, Leanne has brought some back for us. On
so I know exactly what you're talking about. I was like, I feel like I know what you're talking about.
You should. Yeah, no, you should. They're kind of ovally, about yay big. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to watch that video over because it's been a while. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I know that y'all are not used to me talking very quickly, but that's short and sweet is all I got right
and
now.
that's it's which actually works out for the tip this evening. And the tip this evening isn't necessarily like a tip. It's more of a sort of a discussion point, because this is something that most people have to deal with, and it's something that Felicia and I are currently dealing with because of who we are and what we do. And so I just wanted to talk about tonight a little bit of the relationship balancing act, because let's be real, nobody wears just one hat in their daily lives. Like, no one is just one thing, and if you are, I'm sorry, because that seems very cool. But as entertainers, most of us wear several. We're partners or parents, employees, entrepreneurs, entertainers, educators, friends. Like we wear all these different hats, and it can be really fucking hard to balance all of it, especially when the focus shifts and or has to shift from one thing to the other and back again, because depending on what's going on and depending on what you're doing, priorities shift and change depending on what's happening. And some hats and projects get put on the back burner, and it causes some things to fall by the wayside. As an example, some of my hats include things like partner, performer, I'm an employee, I am a parent after a fact, I'm a friend, and I'm an educator. And the last few months being, sort of a partner and a parental figure really has had to take priority over just about everything else because of various things happening. And it's not to say that I wasn't still doing performy things and stuff, but like my focus was very much on home and what was happening. And because of that, I've felt really bad, because I've sent a message to, my drag kids today, and I was like, guys, I am really fucking sorry, because I've been very absent. Like I see them on Facebook, and I'm kind of catching up, and if I see one of them post something about they're having a bad day, I'll text them and be like, hey, are you okay? Is everything all right? But I haven't been as present with them as I usually am, and I felt bad. And it's like everybody gets it, everybody has lives, but I'm usually better at that. I'm usually better at keeping in touch with my friends and stuff, especially with, over the pandemic and stuff. It was communicating.
Easier. There wasn't
right. There wasn't all this
going
other
places
shit that was
things.
happening. So, I feel bad, now I'm trying to kind of catch up on some texts and things, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Sorry, I haven't texted you in like forever, my bad. But it's hard. It's really fucking hard.
Yes, it is. So I want to say that my hats are partner, performer, employee, entrepreneur, friend. Well, not really educator. Maybe mentor. On top of a whole bunch of other things. But the thing that has been a little bit, because we talked about coping mechanisms and how we flash forward. So I can balance usually, but there comes a time where I forget about the other things that I'm balancing, and I just keep moving forward, and hopefully those things follow me.
How's that working out for you?
It really isn't. I feel like I just go and I say yes to things because, again, I'm a people-pleasing workaholic. And so I say yes to things. I say yes to this. I say yes to I'll be there. And then right now, what's affecting me mostly is that I haven't put my family first in some respects. And so if right now it feels like like when you're walking fast and somebody grabs you and turns you around. That's what it feels like. It feels like I thought everything was under control and I was just moving forward and hoping those things followed me. But
and I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, I know, like, I can tell if I'm not happy with certain things, like in my personal life. I don't know if you do this. I do this. I haven't done it lately, which is a good thing. But for me, I will use things like drag as a distraction. So I will, like before, you'd see me, I would throw myself, I would be out at, I'd go to get booked as often as I could. I would be whoring myself out, throwing myself into all these things so that I didn't have to deal with shit. And that is like that's another thing when it comes to balancing. All of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, now I have all this other shit that I have to deal with, and like, and like,
and I am the biggest culprit for not even looking at the calendar and seeing how this is all part of the balancing act, everybody. That you see the calendar. Freddy has caught me a couple times too. Like, that's Mother's Day. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I get so wrapped up. Everything is, especially since we're coming back and everything is full force, it feels like I need to keep up with everything that I want to be involved in.
right.
I have serious FOMO. For those that don't know what that is, I have a fear of missing out, and it's terrible. Like, like I get disappointed in myself that I am afraid of missing out on something.
Right.
Does that make sense? And I really shouldn't. I should be focusing on the things that are important to me.
Right.
Like when we came out of the pandemic, I sort of promised to myself that I wouldn't take on as much bookings. But yes, but then there was a need for something else, and I saw the bookings as an opportunity to fix another problem. But at the same time, I can say this because I'm a Libra, my scale tipped over. Yep. And so, but it just feels heavy when everything falls. Just
and I mean,
imagine that visual.
We've talked about like the ability to say no and how hard it is.
There's the ability to say no.
Like, and that the necessity, like saying no is a necessity, but it's not easy sometimes. Like, especially if it's something that that you would love being involved in, or whatever, and you're like, no, I totally want to do all the things, and you're like, okay, I am fucking dying. Why did I decide to do this?
Cassandra, good point. Priority shift when kids are involved.
Yes.
I have a confession. I am a little here. And so I try to do too much. I try to put it all on there. I mean, we talked about it before. I am like a very adamant people pleaser. And when I feel like I'm disappointing people, I take on more instead of taking on less.
So that you can overcompensate.
So there's a lot of things happening in front of me, and people feel isolated because I have chosen certain things over family, or I have I've committed. And what's right now, the biggest elephant that I'm trying to chew is that I took on bookings on top of trying to keep up with the drag tour, the Arizona Pride tour, instead of me being who I am, because this is who I am usually. I would say, oh no, I can't do bookings until the end of April.
Right.
Got me? But instead, I was trying to overcompensate for something that was in the family category, but took it way too far, probably. But at the same time, doesn't give excuses to other things that may happen when you thought you were being supported.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's the thing is having a supportive partner, really helps with the balancing act, because generally your partner is going to wear different hats too. So in theory, they should actually understand the balancing act that we juggle. I mean, if your partner's not a entertainer, that can be a little bit different, but even so, like if they're with us, and you're talking about scales, and the way I see it is a relationship is like a set of scales. You got the old school scales, right? And usually when things are normal, the weight is distributed equally.
And that's
But
the way the pandemic made it
but
so easy for
it
this
did.
to happen.
But the thing is that there are always going to be times when some of the weight needs to be shifted one way or the other. Your partner may need some extra support. Maybe they've got a big project at work or something, and they're going to have to be working late. So you go and you figure it out, and you pick the kids up from school. Maybe you do more of the cooking.
You getting a little too burrito real quick. I'm just kidding.
But you know what I mean? But then once that's done, then it should go back. And at some point, you may need the extra support, which means the weight will tip in the other direction. And that's, it shifts, it should shift back and forth depending on what's going on, what things are happening, at home and in life and at work and things. But if one partner is continuously shouldering most of the weight, that's when there are problems. And it's not
Well,
necessarily like,
I
and
feel that when I decided to shift, so let's say family's over here. When I took the family and moved myself to the Felicia side,
Mm.
the family went down here because Felicia went way up here. Now she's gone every weekend, maybe sometimes during the week, depending on what's happening. And okay, sometimes she's back, and nope, there she goes. And so that part I understand, because even if it wasn't drag, it would be something else. It would
you
be
you have side hustles, you have side businesses, you do other things besides drag. You're a photographer, you have you pick up design work and graphic stuff and things like that to bring in extra money, which I know 90% of that stuff that you bring in goes not to Felicia. Most of that goes to the family, as opposed to like recycling it back into drag. Like, and I know that, like, I know that very well, so that's, it's hard. You're
so
trying to
that
support your family and bring extra stuff for your family, but then it's
and then that's the part where people, because I often emphasize to our drag children, who we share, um, is that invest in back into your drag. But for me, it has been invest in my family,
right,
and the things, utilities, things, whatever.
right.
Um,
Household shit.
yeah, and to make sure. But also, what happens with that balance too is sometimes you forget because you're overloaded. You pay bills late because you're overloaded, and you think that you're compensating, but um, you think you're compensating, but you're. I almost feel like I formed this isolation bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and I almost feel that. Oh my god. Like
He's
that.
sitting
That's how I
outside the
feel.
door. He's literally sitting outside the door. This is what
Well,
he
that
does.
was the emotion. I needed him there. He was
We
there. That's the emotion I feel. Like I'm screaming inside a bubble and nobody can hear me, but it's not intentional. And I don't know how to explain how it feels. Almost feels like I'm imploding instead of hurting.
right.
And I'm protecting those around me
Right. So
because,
you keep it in and you deal with all the bullshit, but it just bubbles and bubbles and bubbles and bubbles and bubbles inside.
well, and then I practice a lot of self-care.
Yeah.
And also what comes with all of these identities is that excuse me, we need to be able to plan self-care. So I don't want to move on to the next point, but in on in my case, I trap myself in the bubble. I practice self-care, but outside the scale is like just gone, gone, girl, just gone. They down here, and I'm, just
Right.
living, and I have no idea that this is happening because I'm so enclosed up here.
Well, I mean, but also, so this leads me to the next point which is, communication is key. And if you are the partner of someone like myself or Felicia or whatever, and or another entertainer or somebody that generally has a lot of stuff on their plate, if because we
Well,
get
this is a
wrapped
good
up, like we
question.
get very caught up in things. Like if I, if like right now I am apologizing to my partner regularly because I have 23 days until my step down. So my brain right now is in 400 different places. I wake up every single morning at like 4 a.m. because my brain at about between 3 and 4 a.m. my brain's like, oh, we should do this with a costume, or oh, we should probably buy this, or oh no, we need to get this. So my brain is right now super hyper focused on this fucking step down that has been 3 years coming, and it is in 23 days. So like I've got stones and shit all out in the living room. I am, that's my head is right there.
How's
And I had
that
to tell
work
her
with the kids everywhere?
they're fine. They don't come out in the living room. They don't want to hang out with us anyway. They're teenagers.
Oh,
But like, um, I had to, I had to, I had to apologize because normally I'm very good at being like, hey, there's this, this thing, we have the kids. Are we good if I do this or whatever? I'm good with checking in to make sure that I'm not gonna, but
ooh,
I
mm.
had to, for once, I wasn't asking. I was like, okay, this is going to be a thing. And that's my Sunday nights from now until I leave. And when I say Sunday night, I mean from like 8 p.m. to midnight, are going to be very busy because those are going to be my rehearsal times, because I'm sharing my rehearsal time with a contestant because we're sharing dancers and it makes sense. Well, everybody will be there. So we're just going to share it. So I'm like, I won't be home Sunday nights for the next 4 weeks because rehearsals, and it's going to suck. I'm going to be very tired on Monday and it's really going to be shitty, but it's something that I have to do to be able to be
I
ready.
understand that
And
Sunday
but
tired.
I know that my partner, if she needs me, if she's feeling overwhelmed, if she feels like I am um
Hi,
too
tiny corn
much
dog.
in shit, then I know that she will speak up and say, hey, can you do this? Can I, can you take care of this thing for me or whatever? Because I'm doing that too. Because I'm home during the day.
I
It's
miss
very
working from
fortunate.
home. It made everything so
I'm like,
easy.
I'm home during the day. So like today we had the AC tune-up guy come. We've had contractors come, and because I'm home, I get to take care of all that. I'm meeting them, I'm talking to them, which is fine. But it's like it's what I can do to try and help right now, because right now I'm just so hyper focused on shit. But that's the thing. And it doesn't matter whether, if you're the partner that is crazy busy, or if you're the partner that is having to kind of shoulder a little bit more of that weight, there's got to be communication. If someone needs extra help, if someone is overwhelmed, if someone is just at their, at the end of their rope, they need to be able to say something. They need to be able, to talk about, I need this from you, or, at least be like, I was really disappointed when this happened, and it sucks. I don't like disappointing my partner.
So
My partner doesn't, and it's one of these things, but you have to at least be able to express that. You can be, I understand that this was disappointing. I understand that this sucked, and I'm really sorry, and things will be better. But you have to also keep in mind things that you need to be mindful of if you are the person that is ridiculously busy and, doing a lot of shit. Is you have to be mindful of burnout. And if you are either partner, depending on what it is that you're doing, you have to kind of be aware of, are you being taken advantage of? Are you being taken for granted? Are your partners willing to help take some of the stress off? Are they just kind of letting you flounder and then complaining because you didn't make dinner, or because you were late getting home for something, or you know what I mean? Like there's that for folks like us that are, and entertainers and stuff, that we juggle so many damn things, and but that communication needs to be there. And if the communication isn't,
I admit that I fail horribly sometimes. When I get hyper focused, I fail at communicating. If it's day to day, I'm fine. But also, for me at work, my priorities have shifted. I went from being semi-responsible for things to being totally responsible for things. And I know how you feel. We have this conversation very often. But I feel like I'm and this does happen. I work from the time I get there to the time I leave there, which is totally, sometimes I don't even realize what time it is, kind of crap. That absolutely depresses me. Or if I have to work late, then it feels like I got there when it was dark and I leave when it's dark. And so I know that that's not very supportive, because y'all, I'm about to cry. These are like,
don't do that. Look, you have enough problems with your damn makeup. Look, we don't need to have shit.
Maybe
running,
it'll blend a little bit. Maybe it'll blend it.
Just
but
pretend you're like an alt spooky queen. You're fine. Just
but I don't realize that. So you're right. The partner should like not shake the way I have been shook. In the sense recently, it like don't let me say yes to stuff. Like I always run stuff, but then when you say yes, I need to hear no. Like I really should hear no.
Right.
Like, oh, remember we're gonna do such and such that day. Oh, yeah, you're right. Like I feel like sometimes we forget that we connected with an imperfect human. And that we expect our partners to be perfect because they're perfect in our eyes.
Right.
Even if, yes, when you're hyper focused and communication lacks, it becomes like everybody is living inside each other, like their own bubble.
Their own little bubble, right?
And I am terrible.
I let my partner know, like, when we first started dating, because all we had to do for 6 months was talk. So one of the things that I told her from go, I said, I've had partners in the past that have accused me of being selfish, because when I get hyper focused on, if there's a pageant or something like that, or like if I'm prepping for like AIDF or something, when I get super focused on that, it's very hard for me to break away. Like I get, whether it's making costumes or whatever, like I become very, very focused, and I do let things slip. And I've been accused in the past of being selfish because of it. And it's like, I don't do it intentionally. And sometimes I just need a little bit of a nudge to be like, hey, we need to do
Like,
this, or
tell me that,
something like,
like, be like, hey, bitch, we supposed to go to the grocery store. Oh, okay. Well,
I'm sorry,
let me.
let me grab my shoes real quick. Let me, and I think it's okay to do that. And we stress so often about communication whenever we talk about anything, whether it's sex, whether it's relationships, whether it's
Mhm.
anything. Communication is always big in everything that we talk about. And I'm fortunate in that my partner is very communicative. Thank God. Um, and like, she's communicative, she is supportive, and I know that, if I'm like, look, I'm stressed out, she's like, how can I support you, what can I do to help,
I feel like I get
what is there
communicative
anything,
too late.
and I'm extraordinarily grateful for that, because I haven't really had that in the past, that. And it's like, so, but we all get hyper focused on things, we all get overwhelmed, and we all get busy, but
So, Cassandra says, I feel like when you are hyper focused and your communication lacks, um, that should clue your partner in that they should over communicate,
right,
ideally. Um, I want to say that, and I'm not running to anybody's defense, but I can, maybe it's the Libra in me, but I can see both sides of the story. And I I am one to think way over. I'm an overthinker, and I will think about what parts of the cogs are not working so that we can go back to, being cohesive. And that if the person is already feeling like this, like the scale has tipped over and they're overwhelmed, that's one more thing that you have to um, carry. Um, and I could see that being upsetting.
right.
I could see it being, well, I had to tell you last week, or I had to, like, in business, Marissa says, in business, we never clock out, and it's hard to manage equal time for work and home. The entertainment business is very consuming, and sometimes the family gets pushed back. But yes, communication is very important, but very hard. But I work in communications. That's the part that's.
Everything's tricky, I know. I know.
Even people in
Um,
communications don't know how to communicate sometimes. Considering I was at work until like late today because somebody forgot to communicate with me that something had changed, but I'm standing there waiting.
right.
So it happens in all relationships, friendships, business relationships, more so in this instance, partners and lovers. You want to feel like you're wanted on both sides, and when ambition takes over, when you trap yourself inside, um, yes, but uh, ugh, I'm beating myself up about certain things that
I know. But
so I beat myself up because I am the person that speaks in a very loud, and I've been horrible about it in the last couple years. I used to like buy people flowers because you did something nice for me. I used to do like somebody got a new job, I would go and get a cake and celebrate. I have not been good about that at all. So some qualities that I didn't know are missing, for lack of a word, is speaking volumes to others. If that makes any sense to anybody. Yes, but
It's
I'm
I mean,
trying to.
let's be real, the last couple years really changed a lot of things too. Like we kind of things
And I've also
the way we
never.
do things has changed for a lot of stuff. So
Well,
it's like it's
and
just not what it was.
instant gratification plays a huge part in this, which is where the FOMO comes from. Instant gratification plays a huge part on both sides. You want your partner to be um, um, there for you and celebrating you and lifting you up at whatever that is. And I can say, after, because I'm very self-aware until I'm not. So
Well, isn't that the truth for most of us?
so the the last week or so, I have been just peeling back everything. Was I like this before the pandemic? Absolutely. Hmm.
I think it was different, yes, but I think that it was a
I
little
was
bit
very I was
different.
very expressive, though. Like, something happened along the way where I turned off. Like, as Freddy, I mean, we like surprised him one year for his birthday, and I was like totally into it.
Okay, but
just different
for the last
things.
couple years, there hasn't been much happening for my birthday because we've been in a fucking pandemic. So it's like,
Well, and I things like that bother me, but then I don't know. I don't. There are many new layers in our world since the pandemic, yes, and I I don't know. I'm in a phase which I have been very careful about staying away from social media because we have talked about several times on this show about giving out your trash and putting it on social media.
Not
And
everybody
so,
needs to know all your business.
as I'm reflecting and dissecting things, I'm at fault for some things. I'm realizing that it's a growing opportunity. Um, and I say transformation because every once in a while, it happened to me bad when I turned 30. But every once in a while, um, I have these like drastic dreams. It's horrible. But they are like so real to life. Like I feel like they're happening to me, um, which is kind of a sign that it's like, hey, the soul is trying to tell you something. And um,
See, in contrast to that, my partner has dreams about men in B-shaped balloons shooting cannonballs at her. So
have you looked it
I don't
up?
know what that means in terms of. I said she
Oh,
should get a tattoo of a bee balloon with a man and a cannonball, but
I mean, I'm
anyway.
waiting. Make t-shirts. Let's go.
Right. So
Oh, that's so
I know
important.
we have been talking. We have been talking about some heavy shit tonight, and you know what? It's all right because it's it's our fucking show. We can talk whatever the fuck we want.
It could be your show tonight. I am
Eh,
willing to share.
oh,
I'm
thank you so
Yeah.
much. Um, but you know, it's sometimes we have these sometimes we have these conversations. There aren't too many episodes where we spend most of it sort of talking about stuff like this, but every once in a while I think it's fine because this is what we do.
These are the kind of episodes I go back and watch, and I'm like,
right. But I do have a couple interesting things in terms of news. If you want to hear something, we can end on a slightly lighter
let's get
note.
into it. Wait, do you want me to read these? Oh
I got
God,
it.
that one's so long.
I got it. No, you just
get
sit there
that
and look
one.
pretty.
I'll do the next one.
Okay.
Oh, I can't even say that word either.
It's fine. You can do the one after that. It's fine. It's just look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this was kind of interesting. So I listen to true crime a lot, like, and that's kind of, unidentified bodies and stuff always being found in barrels and shit and stuff. So
jars.
Right. So 62 years ago, the unidentified remains of a young girl were found in Yavapai County. She was dubbed Little Miss Nobody. And she was the oldest cold case in Yavapai County to date. And up until now, no one knew who she was. She was just a little girl who had been found basically out in the desert and burned.
Whoa.
Nobody knew anything. But advanced DNA technology has actually identified her, if you can believe that. Science, this shit is awesome. And it's,
you mean science evolved?
Like these things don't bring people back, but it can kind of bring closure to things. This is a 62-year-old case. And she, through advanced DNA technology, she has been identified as Sharon Lee Gallegos. She was 4 years old when she was abducted from her grandmother's yard by a couple who had been stalking her. Apparently, cousins actually watched this happen. And they weren't able to identify her, but they were actually able to track down her cousins and like the rest of her surviving family. And so she's now been able to have a proper burial. Her name is on the headstone, as well as Little Miss Nobody, because that's what they've been calling her for 62 years. So I thought that was kind of cool. And this type of shit also fascinates me because I'm a huge history buff. So was it two years ago? 2 years ago when Notre Dame caught fire.
Yeah.
And was like a good chunk of it was destroyed. So they've been in the process of rebuilding and reconstructing and restoring this cathedral. And so they've had to do all sorts of stuff, and they've been finding all sorts of nifty shit. So the cathedral itself dates back to the 12th century. So it's old. But they found buried under the floor in the cathedral was a 14th century lead sarcophagus, which is fascinating because why was this random sarcophagus buried underneath the floor? Like they were digging to get to stuff, and they kept going down, and they're finding all these interesting things in these different layers underneath the actual floor of the cathedral. And this back down where the floor used to be around the 14th century, they found this lead sarcophagus, which they're guessing probably belonged to some sort of high dignitary. So if they can figure out who, that could be one hell of a discovery. They also found underneath a pit that dates back to the 12th century, and they haven't opened it fully, but they were able to drop cameras into it, and they were able to find like remains of plants and material and things, which means that this pit has been so well sealed that it preserved this shit from the 1100s. This is like, it's crazy. So I'm kind of excited to see what else they happen to dig up.
Next episode will be doing it from Notre Dame.
Yeah, we'll do it on site.
And
but this shit is fascinating because they up till now they haven't had any reason to dig. Like, why would you dig up the cathedral floor? But now, in order to restore it, they have to start going, down to get to the foundation, and they're finding all this shit. So I'm kind of excited to see what they figure out.
You are excited. You are.
I know.
You are so excited. Meanwhile, in present day, Russia continues to bomb civilians in the Ukraine. So, right after we got off of here and we were talking about they continue their madness, and so far, to date, 103 children have been killed, and that's the ones that have been reported and found.
Right.
There have been like local scientists that not scientists, but investigators that believe that there are more people and children just scattered.
Oh, I'm sure Russia keeps bombing like random like little towns and shit and
so
hospitals.
Riddle me this. Russia says, okay, we'll stop, and then you see a bomb go off. Why did they keep doing this? Why do we keep going, oh, it's okay, we'll stop. Oh, bomb. Bitch, I thought you were sitting down. Why are you out? What are you doing? Why are we... What? So now we're still going. Also, a reporter, I don't remember his name, it was an American reporter, I believe, was killed over in the Ukraine while reporting on the war. So rest in power to him, because that's what we forget.
Hazard.
Yeah, there's no coming back from that workman's comp.
Nope.
Not to joke on the dead, but that's one of those things. Like when I see those as a photographer in the job listings, and you say, "Oh, I don't think I want to go during a time of war, though."
But that's when you get paid the big money.
No.
I found this next article, and this was actually pretty interesting to me as well. So back in 1922 in Indianapolis, a man named
when you
George
were just
Tompkins,
a wee boy.
I was just a wee thing. George Tompkins was a black man who was found dead hanging in a tree with his hands bound.
Like me.
And the original coroner said that there was no doubt that it was murder. But if you look on the death certificate, someone crossed it out and wrote in a completely different handwriting, suicide, which is a bunch of horse shit, but whatever. Because you're gonna. Why would you? Who binds sense. Like who ties their hands up before they? It's stupid. But 100 years after his death, the new deputy coroner in Indianapolis went and changed his cause of death to lynching.
How do they do that?
Well, because he was able to look at she, I believe, was able to look at the original report. And like there's no way that it was a suicide. There isn't. Based on the original coroner's report, his hands were bound. He said that he was either dead or mostly dead when he was hung. So not a suicide. And the reason that, it's like, well, why does that matter? The reason it matters is because too many of these, accidental or suicides or whatever deaths that were classified as these back in the day weren't at all.
So
they
many
were 100%, lynchings and things like that. And it's not to kind of beat a dead horse, excuse the pun, but it's to really start being honest with ourselves and stop sugarcoating shit and stop trying to hide our really fucked up history.
What do you mean? Radical racism isn't a thing. Oh, I did not know that this had passed. Okay.
Yep.
Well, yes, good for this.
Mm-hmm.
The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act of 2022 passed Senate. Is headed to President Biden for a signature. He better sign that.
Oh, he will. There's no way.
Lynching is now. Listen to this. This should
It's
just piss the whole bunch.
2022. 2022. Just keep that in
But
mind.
it only took whatever. Lynching is now a federal crime because it wasn't before because we didn't realize that
It's fine.
it's okay. Just a whole bunch of people died. It's fine. It passed 422 to 3. Who are those 3 people? I want to know.
3.
3 who voted no were Republicans from Georgia, Kentucky, Texas, and that is no shocker to us. But if you live in those states, stay up on your. I know Abrams is working on
The
something.
folks that live in those states, pay the fuck attention because you just had your senators vote no on an anti-lynching act.
Mm-hmm.
They said no. They said that wasn't necessary. They said that there's no need to make lynching a federal crime.
And these are also the people that don't want you to stay gay, and also the people that don't want you to be in the bathroom with them, and also the people that don't want trans people in sports.
I'm legitimately kind of surprised that Arizona senators were on board. Like, legitimately kind
considering that Martin Luther King Day wasn't considered a holiday until the 80s. Yes.
Yep.
Also, that politicians are trying to change the name to Civil Rights Day is also
stupid.
Very telling of the culture here. Oh, I never did do that. I'll do it sometime. I wrote something in our notes that I was
it's okay. It's all right. I wasn't able to get to it today either. It's okay. Nobody knows. It's fine. So as far as COVID in Arizona, our numbers of cases are dropping. Since last week, we've had 5,153 cases, which again, not great, but at least the numbers are falling. However, our deaths are still not great. We are actually up more deaths this week than we were last week. Last week, in a week, we had 382 deaths. Since last week, we've had 457 deaths. So we're still not great in terms of numbers from deaths, and it's with all the things that are available now, with between the medication, between the vaccines and shit, people really shouldn't still be dying. So y'all need to get your shit together.
Yeah, especially since you can go to Walgreens and either get a vaccine or get the pill.
Get the medication now. Yeah.
It's funny seeing some people that I have seen for the last 2 years without masks.
I know. I'm
like, oh my god!
I still carry mine.
Your face looks like.
I still carry mine. Like it's probably gonna be one of those things that I think I'm just gonna have with me forever. Like it's you grab your wallet, your keys, your phone, and you have a mask with you. Just cause like I feel like that's just gonna be one of those things.
So when I was having that allergy attack a couple weeks ago, it was helpful that I had a mask, but it was very nasty because I kept sneezing.
Oh my god, I sneezed in my mask a couple weeks ago and didn't realize that it was a knot. Like it was a chunky sneeze.
Yeah,
until I went to go rub my nose through my mask and I went, oh god.
Yes, that very much that. I was like, get it off.
And there's nothing you can do about it. You're like, I have to live with this.
You're like in the middle of the store, just
right. Nothing you can do about it. Not a goddamn thing you can do about it until you get back, and then you're just like, oh my god.
So if y'all wear masks still, which just carry an extra one.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
And
just carry
remember to keep washing the cloth ones. Remember to keep washing those. We gotta keep washing them. Upcoming gigs. What have we got happening?
So this week is Cat Bingo on March 18th on
It's
Friday.
our annual St. Patrick's Day Cat Bingo. So wear your green,
you jumped
folks.
the gun. You jumped the gun.
Sorry.
Oh, I guess tomorrow is. Anyway. I forgot what day it is. See what I mean? Easy.
Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, which is why I'm... I even
totally
said
forgot.
that
I totally could have
at the
worn
beginning,
green.
but you weren't here.
I was watching though, and I totally should have known that. And then on the 19th, I will be on the Pride Tour. So, see, guys, I don't know how to put spaces in things. Oh, except for one thing, I think it's coming off.
Oh, look at that.
I think that's Sunday when I think Sunday when I come back, I don't have to. Unless somebody rings, I may just be like, nah, that's cool. That's cool. The 26th, Sierra Vista, and April 2nd, Nogales. And then you're off to...
I leave for nationals on, I think, the 4th. Because I'm doing it it's because it's like a 24-hour drive, so I'm doing it in a couple of chunks. My goal is to get there on Wednesday, so I'm probably going to stop. Amarillo is about the halfway point. So I'm trying to see if I know anybody in Amarillo. If not, I may get like a little hotel room or something for the night so I could just crash out and then keep going the next day. So we shall see. We shall see.
Wonderful. And then we have sex trivia on April 23rd. That's all for now, because I'd rather not think that far ahead at the moment. So with that being said, I have sent our form to some guest, and I need to book them.
Yes, we're working on it. We're working on it. I think most of our guests aren't going to be booked until after I'm back from nationals and stuff anyway, because April is just insane. So
that would be better. Anyway, so stay tuned for those announcements. Also, I don't know if you all were here last week, but I uploaded all of the episodes as podcasts. So if you're listening right now, thank you for listening. And we have over 4,000 downloads. I'm number chasing at this point. If we hit 5,000, I might lose my shot.
I'm very excited about that. I think that's great.
I think, what the hell? People listen to us?
Apparently. Who knew?
I'm like, what is this? Why? But see, that's something that I can continue to chase, and I will. And so y'all just have to let me know that, okay, that's good, Felicia. Let it go until we get to 10,000, and then I'll lose my shit then too, and then bring me back in. Anyway, so thank you for supporting us as a webcast, as a podcast. Some of you keep sharing our stuff. I appreciate it so much. We appreciate it so much. I'm sure it's not just me. That'd be
correct. Yes, I do. Yes, I am here. I do things on this show on occasion.
Okay, so yes, the whole show today was produced by Freddy, Prinze, Charming.
You're welcome. I'm gonna add producer to my resume now.
You can. I put it on my LinkedIn. It's on my LinkedIn. But except I keep getting asked if I'll produce music, and so I need to figure out how to put it in there so it reads correctly, so people don't ask me to produce music for them, because I'm like, I do mixes, but they're not that good. Mediocre.
Oh, don't even start talking about music. I'm still in a panic mode right now.
See? Oh, we gotta go. Thank you for joining us for your Wednesday night conversation. A little bit deep and heavy tonight, but it was very.
We keep it real. We keep it real. We always
very
have.
Therapeutic for me. So I appreciate all of y'all's feedback, and thank you to those that watch live like you all. And thank you to those that watch on the replay. And I'm going to add on here the podcast. We'll see you next week for your Wednesday night conversation.
Good night.
My mouse isn't moving.
Oh my God. Do you want me to do it?
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. All right, y'all. Good night. We will see you next week.